Hi, welcome to County Station Honey Farm. This time of year we start thinking about fall coming in, the kids are back in school, the gardens are shutting down. So we've been busy all summer putting up vegetables and fruits from the garden and the farm. But I went out and I found 2 of our pumpkins that were ripe. So they came on pretty early this year. Now, this pumpkin right here, you'll notice is kind of a gray looking color. This is called, it's a type of squash, but it is a pumpkin. It's called a gray ghost pumpkin. This one is just a little pumpkin that grew on its own. I don't really know the name of it. It was one of those freebies that you get when you throw the seeds out. So we had 2 pumpkins. Now, I was thinking about, a lot of people do not know how to actually use a pumpkin to get it out of the shell and get it to the point where you can make a pie or a cheesecake or candy or whatever with. So we're going to take and learn step by step how to get your pumpkin from this stage to the pumpkin pie. So if you just hang on here, we're going to first, you've got to have a few tools. You have to have paper towels because it's a terrible messy process. You got to have a large spoon because you got to dig the guts out of it. And then of course you need the colander so you can put your seeds and your guts down in that, because we're going to make some chocolate covered pumpkin seed for the kids and for us who like chocolate. So first of all, you've got to open your pumpkin up. So you're going to use 1 large knife. Now, sometimes these things are almost too big for me to get through. And this may be one. At this point, I bring husband in, and he cuts it to get it open for me. So, pumpkins have a really hard shell. All pumpkins do. So, I'll be back in a few minutes once I get it opened up. Okay, let's see. We can get this open. Aha! Pumpkin guts. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the guts and put it over in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in like 4ths so I can take and put it in the oven, because what we're going to do is we're going to take and put some oil on this. We're going to put it in the oven and we're going to let it bake slowly. And then when it finishes that way, we're going to be able to get the meat, the pulp, out of your pumpkin shell. So that way you can make your puree. So I'm going to take and just get my spoon in, just like you do when you make a jack-o'-lantern. If you have small kids, you do this still. If you have large kids, and you're me, you do it still. And if you have no kids at all, you would do it anyway. So, look how big those seeds are. Aren't those nice ones? That'll make us some really good chocolate covered walnut seeds. There's all kinds of flavored walnut. All kinds of flavored pumpkin seeds you can make, from chocolate to spicy to a caramel pumpkin seed. All kinds. So, and then I'm going to show you how to do that too. So, I'm going to take and get all of these out, and then I'll meet you in the house in a few minutes. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to put a little bit of olive oil on your pumpkin brush, and then just turn it over on your sheet, your cookie sheets. Now, while I'm doing this, I have my oven on 375 that I'm going to bake these. Now, make sure you turn your pumpkin upside down, because you don't want to dry out your flesh. So anyway, the thing about when you pick out a pumpkin, make sure you get a cooking pumpkin and not a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, because if you noticed on this pumpkin, on this squash, it has the big meat line to it. And that's what you really need, because if you get a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, excuse me, Courtney, you don't get the meat on there that you need. So we're going to take and we're going to put this in the oven for 375, and it's going to stay in there an hour and a half. and then we're going to get our pumpkin out at that time. And at that time, our meat, our flesh on there, should be so we can just scoop it right out and make our pumpkin puree. So I'll see you in about an hour and a half.
Now.
Okay, we have got our pumpkin in the oven, getting ready to cook. And now we're going to do gut talk. This is the gut that you get in the pumpkin. Now we have some really nice big seeds on this, so you get to do the fun job of taking the seeds out of the gunk. However, after it's hard to get all those little seeds out of the gunk without having gunk with it. So what I usually do is I take and I pick as many seeds out of my gunk that I got, and then I'll take and throw away the rest of the pumpkin or the gunk, and then I can take and wash it good and get some off there. Then I'm going to put it in a pan of salt water, and I'm going to take and I'm going to boil them for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, we're going to roast them. So if you would like, you could stay here and help me with the gunk picking, or I'll see you in a few minutes. Now we cleaned and washed our seeds, and we've got them in salted boiling water here, and they're going to boil for 10 minutes. Now what I did, I used about a teaspoon of salt in my saucepan. So my seeds, as you can see, are just boiling away, and in a few minutes we're going to come back to those, and we're going to get them where they can go into the oven. So be back with you in a second. Now, while our pumpkin seeds are boiling and while they are taking and going to roast, we're going to get our other ingredients ready. Now, one type of pumpkin seed we're going to make is caramel pumpkin seed. And I took and made myself a little note because I can't always remember. But this is my seasoning mix right here that I put together, and I've got a half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice and 1.5 tablespoons of regular sugar in there. This is the first thing we're going to toss our seeds in before we put them into bake. And then for the last step of that, I have got a tablespoon of butter, a half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, a tablespoon and a half of white sugar, and a tablespoon of half of brown sugar. And we're going to take and make that into kind of a sauce, pour it over there, and let that bake into it after the first bake. So that one has 2 steps. Now, the fun thing is we're going to be able to use our Easter bunnies that, if you watched earlier, you saw us go buy a whole bunch of Easter bunnies after Christmas.
After Easter.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was Easter if I had Easter bunnies. Okay. But I got a whole bunch of those. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and milk those and toss the other seeds in there and let it harden, and then we're going to have the chocolate ones. So what we're going to do with our Easter bunny is we have to open it up. And there's nothing like a good head of an Easter bunny. And what you're going to do is you're just going to chop it up because we're going to melt it. Slow and low. Now, it's not going to take a whole big ton of chocolate to do it. So I should have Easter bunny left. Not that you can eat it, Bruce Barnes, but we got it left. And we're going to just put it back in the bag and save it for later. So, because we might make some more later. So, right now I'm going to finish chopping up my Easter bunny, get it ready to go into my cup to melt, wait for the seeds to quit boiling, and then I'm going to put them in to the oven for it's usually anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, but sometimes if you have the big seeds, it can take up to 25, but we'll have to watch it for that. So I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Okay, now we've got our seeds off. I let them boil for 10 minutes, and now I've got the oven preheating on 400. And what we're going to do is take your cookie sheet and spray it good with your spray so your little seeds won't stick. Now we're going to take half of our seeds and we're just going to put them down onto the cookie sheet. Now the ones we're putting down there are the ones that we're going to dip in chocolate. Now the other half that I got here, if you remember I told you earlier that I mixed some pumpkin pie spice, some sugar, some brown sugar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in a bowl and I'm going to toss these seeds with them and throw them on here, and then that way they will all toss together. And you'll already have this bunch seasoned when you come into it. So just take your seeds and put it in a bowl. And toss this on top of it. Ew, it smells good. Toss it good and try not to spill it all over the cabinet. Here's going to be your chocolate half, and this is part of your pumpkin pie caramel, salted caramel half. So we want to make sure that they're all single layered. Now, of course, pumpkin seeds are excellent for you to eat, high in protein and everything. Now, I would say after I put all this gunk on it, kind of went downhill a little bit as far as healthy. But they're still very good. So we're going to take and put these in the oven just as soon as the oven gets to 400. We're going to keep them in there from 15 to 25 minutes. You watch them because you want to watch them. You want them to get dry, but you don't want them to get so dry that they burn. So we're going to set these over here, and then I want to talk to you about the pumpkin that we got ready for. I'm kind of letting my pumpkin cool. But if you'll notice, the pumpkin is just very soft. See, it's just plain pumpkin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take and scoop out the pumpkin, the flesh here from the rind. And I'm going to take and put it in my food processor. And I'm going to process it because I want it to be a puree to go with my cheesecake, pumpkin pie, whatever. So hopefully this is going to cool, and then by the time that I come back on, you'll see it into the food processor. So, see ya. Okay, we've got our pumpkin out of the shell, and now I have all of my pumpkin in the strainer here, and I'm going to put it into the food processor. Now I've got it in the strainer, the drainer there, because I don't want any water or liquid from the pumpkin to be in there, because I want a pumpkin puree. So what you're going to do is we're going to fill that up, and it's really hot now. But you've got to have it good and hot so that it will come out of your shell. And then plus you want the puree nice. So, but we're going to put it in here. I think it's going to take it'll probably take 2 runs to do this. And now okay, we're going to puree it. what our pumpkin puree looks like.
Stop. Hasn't done it good yet.
Huh?
Has it done it?
Yep.
Okay.
Look. Look what a nice puree you get. Nothing like that stuff you get in the cans. This is fresh and the smell is wonderful. Now right now, of course, it has no seasonings in it or anything. So it tastes pretty bland. But now tomorrow, I'm hoping, let me figure out how this thing goes on. I'm hoping tomorrow to be able to show you how to make a pumpkin cheesecake. And that's with the graham cracker, not graham cracker, but the ginger snap crust and everything. So I'm going to go on and finish up my puree, and then I am going to get it in the fridge because I want it to cool. And the amount that I'm not going to use tomorrow, I'm going to get put in the freezer because it won't keep any other time. So I'll be back because I got a few minutes to wait on our seeds, and then we're going to finish those up. Wash this off. Hi. Okay, the pumpkin seeds are dry, and first we're going to do the caramel, salted caramel ones. So take your salt shaker and just salt it just a little bit, toss it up. Now in your pan, remember this is where we put our brown sugar, white sugar, and pumpkin pie spice and butter. We are going to toss our seed in there. Now, once they're tossed, we're going to put them back on the cookie sheet. They smell good. I'm going to spread out. And we're going to put them in the oven about 10 more minutes. And this will take and make them crispy. They're crispy now. But this will make them really, really yummy. Now I've got parchment paper down because I didn't want them to stick. So we're going to drop those back in the oven. I'm going to hit the timer for 10 more minutes. Now, that's taken care of. The next thing we're going to do is we got our chocolate melted, and we're going to do our final thing of seeds. Now these seeds are just the regular seed that we fixed. This is my Easter bunny chocolate. I melted it just in hot water, and I'm just going to pour it over top of my pumpkin seeds. And I'm going to toss my pumpkin seeds in it. And you just want to coat it good. You don't want a whole big bunch on there. Then just grab your plate. Put your little bit of parchment paper on it so it doesn't stick. And just put your pumpkin seeds out on it. Spread it around. Now you know you can always take, once your chocolate dries or sets up, you can always take and break your chocolate apart there too. Now, because chocolate and salt is always good together, we're going to sprinkle a little salt on that, and we're going to stick it in the fridge, let it set up, and just as soon as everything's done, we're going to try it. So, be back in a minute. Hi, we finished. We have some beautiful pumpkin pie spice, pumpkin seed, and some chocolate pumpkin seed. People, you need to try this. This is really good. The kids will enjoy them. There's different varieties that you can make. You can make ranch, you can make lime, pepper, just all kinds. So have fun. And I've got my pumpkin puree in the fridge, getting cold. And tomorrow we're going to take and do the cheesecake. So talk to you later, and you take care. From Cowan Station Honey Farm.